middle housing and first-time buyers. Look to models such as Houston that reward affordability data used in the report. Data driving this decision is sound, defensible, and fair. Right now, the proposed changes would make Tucson's impact fees the highest among our neighboring jurisdictions, including Pima County. That matters. We don't want to see Tucson become the hardest place in the region to build, especially when our need for housing is this urgent. Let's not allow well-meaning policy to unintentionally become a barrier. Let's work together on a solution that supports both the infrastructure we need and the homes our hard.
Ben Bueller Garcia.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Romero, members of the council. My name is Ben Bueller Garcia. I'm a 46-year resident of Ward 3. I'm speaking to you tonight on behalf of the Arizona Multi-Housing Association. The AMA is the largest organization in the state of Arizona representing multifamily developers, property owners, and managers. It's no secret that we're in the middle of an affordable housing crisis. You heard a lot about that tonight. Basic economic law dictates that you reduce price by adding inventory. Your recently published housing needs assessment forecast that we need 35,000 units, new units in Tucson to accommodate our needs over the next 10 years. Now, I'm a huge fan of your team down there at Housing and Community Development. I think they do a great job, but they can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. The preponderance of the burden for building that new residential development falls upon our members and upon the SABA members. 40 to 45% increase in impact fees is part of a disconcerting trend that I have seen develop in Tucson over the last couple of years, and that's the growing disconnect between our desires for more housing and the regulatory reality on the ground as far as the cost of building housing in Tucson. Some examples. Several years ago, the city of Tucson eliminated the multifamily housing category from impact fees and combined it with single-family residential. The net effect of that was to double impact fees for building apartments in the city of Tucson. The electric vehicle charging ordinance adds another $500,000 to the cost of building a standard 200 unit garden style apartment complex. We've seen a 7% increase in developmental services fees. And also coming down the line, we've got changes to the building code and the outdoor lighting code. Jim Toffel, who was recently the chairperson of your Equitable Housing Commission, predicts that that alone could add another $10,000 to $25,000 per unit to the cost of building apartments here in Tucson. So that 200 unit apartment complex just increased another $5 million in costs. You can't make housing more affordable by making building housing more expensive. Help us to help you achieve those goals. Please do not increase the impact fees by the significant amounts recommended in your study. Please direct for a phased-in approach that allows the market to adjust. And please encourage your staff to continue working with private sector partners like AMA and SABA to find some equitable solutions that help us reach our goal without increasing the already undue burden on building housing in Tucson. The people who are going to get us out of this need help to make sure that they can build the housing that we all need. Thank you for your consideration.
Are there any other cards? Is there anyone out there that wishes to be heard on this item? Already seeing none, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved, Your Honor. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Alrighty, this public hearing is closed. What is the council's pleasure?
On that, when we have public hearings like that, are we allowed to speak during those public hearings? The council?
No, this is for the public. But you can speak now?
Just, Ben makes a good point about the multi-family thing. I want to get real with you guys. About this out loud publicly. I'm totally into looking at a way to reduce impact fees if you give us some more flexibility on them. The bottom line is that if I want to switch out a playground at a park because it's an old playground, I can't use impact fees for it, even though it would be a brand new playground and nicer. If I don't actually have 3 more swings, the impact police come to us and we can't use them. So if you give us some flexibility to help us with our asset management, I know I can't speak for my colleagues off the cuff, but back to your teams, I totally get it. And we don't want to be stopping, making it cost prohibitive for people to purchase housing either, as you guys well know. But just something to think about, because if we can find 6 inches of daylight there, that's fine. But I remember when Saba led the fight to make the impact fees more constrictive, and that's what the legislature did. So we've got to get that fixed.
I just have a question. We did receive that letter from Jim Toffel, and he mentioned 2 things that could help lower costs for all apartment projects moving forward. And I want to ask our staff about this. He mentioned 1, delay the implementation of the 2024 International Building Code. Yes, he did say that that new code could increase development costs by $10,000 to $25,000 per unit. And then the other one is reduce impact fees for multifamily projects. And I wanted to ask, I know that we had engagement throughout the process for impact fees. And I just want to make sure that um, we asked Corin, what was the engagement process? How did it look like? Have you heard of these multifamily impact fees and the delaying the 2024 International Building Code issues?
Yes, Mayor, members of council. We have had several engagements, meetings and forums to engage with stakeholders on impact fees. We have been discussing this at our monthly planning and development services monthly stakeholders meetings that we held. We've been discussing it over the past, I think, 3 or 4 meetings at least. And then we had a dedicated meeting on impact fees with a few stakeholders several weeks ago where we introduced the impact fee proposal and got feedback. And we did hear concerns. A lot of the concerns and issues you've heard tonight were expressed in those forums as well. So we have had discussion, and those discussions are ongoing with stakeholders on the impact fee proposal. On the building code adoption, I do want to mention that's, as you know, a separate ordinance and set of regulations. We have heard that, and I want to let you know that we are anticipating a study session with mayor and council on this on May 6th. I think it's tentatively scheduled, and we'll definitely be happy to discuss potential timeline for impact for building code adoption with mayor and council, as well as impact and what some of those impacts could be.
So I would be very interested to
Mhm.
make sure that we do have that discussion about how the potential cost per unit will be impacted based on the 2024 International Building Code.
Mhm.
I don't know anything about, I mean, I know that we've done international building codes and mayor and council approves them, but I would want to know why. What is it that is adding $10,000 to $25,000 per unit? The other piece, I don't know if we talked about it or if I got an answer from you. When did the multifamily impact
Change.
fee,
Change.
when did it
Mayor,
change?
yes.
And
Yes.
talk to us about
Thank you, Mayor. So Mayor, members of council, that was a change that was made 5 years ago in our impact fee structure. Previously, my understanding, because more than 5 years ago is a little bit before my time, but my understanding is multifamily impact fees were separate from single family impact fees until the update that Mayor and council made 5 years ago. 5 years ago, mayor and council adopted a new set of impact fees that actually have a tiered approach to single family. And that was a policy decision made by mayor and council to really look at the scale of impact of smaller scale homes versus larger scale. So previously to that, single family homes were all charged a flat rate of impact fees. And then multifamily was its own fee rate. 5 years ago, when we changed that structure for single family, we applied that to multifamily as well. So housing units are treated as housing units, whether they are single family or multifamily. And it's a proportional fee based on the square footage. So smaller units have a lower fee, and larger units have a higher fee.
Alrighty, any other questions or comments on this? Alrighty, what is the council's pleasure on this?
Mayor, what is the outcome for tonight? Because is it just to have the public hearing, or is there a specific motion we need to make for this? Because I don't see it in the.
I
material.
believe it's just the public hearing for this item.
Madam Mayor, the thing we'd be seeking tonight is your direction to continue with the stakeholder conversations and to bring back the development impact fee report and return to discussion with mayor and council at the study session of May 20th. So it's basically a motion to keep the process moving.
I will. Second.
So there's a motion and a second, making sure that we continue the process of stakeholder engagement, community engagement. I would really like an answer in terms of what the impact differences are between multifamily and single family. I know that there's a huge impact on transportation resources that are developed by multifamily buildings. So I think it's only fair to take a look at that difference. And then also, I would really want to know why this $10,000 to $25,000 per unit increase caused by the 2024 International Building Code issue. So yeah, please continue getting the input and feedback from community. Really appreciate you all showing up for this item, and we can let the process continue and move on to item 9. Oh, did we vote? Okay, so there's a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Motion carries. Item 9.
Public hearings, City of Tucson, City 5-year consolidated plan, July 1, 2025 through June, program year 2025 annual action plan.
City Manager's Communication number 118 dated April 22nd is received into and made part of the record. This is the time and place legally advertised for a public hearing to discuss the 5-year consolidated plan for the City of Tucson, Pima County Home Consortium. The mayor and council are requested to approve the 5-year HUD consolidated plan. The plan covers the period of July 1, 2025 through July 30th, 2030. The public hearing is scheduled to last for no more than 1 hour. Speakers are limited to 5-minute presentations. Does staff have a presentation to make?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. I promise I'll be quick. As you mentioned, this is a public hearing for our proposed 5-year consolidated plan and the 1-year annual plan, which are requirements to submit to Housing and Urban Development to receive different types of federal funding. One item I did want to bring up that just recently surfaced, I'd like to add one sentence to the consolidated plan to add specificity to goal number 3, decent and affordable housing. In that section, there's already language related to the rehabilitation of affordable rental housing. I'd like to add a sentence that specifically calls out, we'll be working on improvements to city-owned properties such as Fry Apartments, which is an affordable housing site in the Santa Rita neighborhood that serves low-income families and needs some investment. Specifically naming that Fry project may help us access some funding opportunities in the future. And so this evening, I would request that you approve the plans, including that additional sentence that talks about Fry Apartments. And last, I have the microphone. I do want to thank my staff who has sat here and worked really hard on this plan and the PCHIP process that you approved earlier. And also want to thank our consultant, Martina Kuhl, who is online, and she drafted this 200-page plan. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shanek. I really appreciate your work. unbelievably amazing work. We are very, very happy with all of the work that you're all doing. Mike Rankin, do we need to do anything else regarding adding that language?
Just with the motion, taking the action, just make sure you reference including the revision read into the record by Director Chineka.
Alrighty, so I believe there are no speakers for this public hearing.
No speakers.
Is there anyone out there wishing to be heard on this item? Hearing none, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Motion passes. The public hearing is closed. Ms. Clerk, you are requested to read Resolution 23911 by number and title only.
Resolution number 23911 relating to public housing, approving the proposed plan between the City of Tucson City and Pima County, known as the five-year consolidated plan, which is required by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for the city and county to continue to receive entitlement grant funds, and which includes an annual action plan specifying projects to be funded and implement in HUD program year 2025, directing staff to submit to HUD the approved consolidated plan and its included annual action plan for HUD program year 2025 and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to pass and adopt resolution number 23911 with the additional language as indicated?
So moved.
Second, Your Honor.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, we do need a roll call.
Mixulick?
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham?
Aye.
Mrs. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Dahl?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Santa Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Romero?
Aye, resolution 23911 passes by a vote of 6-0. Item 10,
We did
I'm
item
sorry,
10.
item 11.
Rezoning, City Manager's Report, TP ENT 1224-00027, Villas de las Toronjas, 6621 and 6639 East Broadway Boulevard, R to R3, and it's in Ward 2.
City Manager's Communication Number 108, dated April 22nd, is received into and made part of the record. This is a request to rezone an approximately 0.85 acre portion of a larger site from R1 Residence Zone to R3 Residence Zone to allow for the construction of 16 to 18 additional rental units as part of the existing apartment complex site, and the abandonment of an unused city-owned alley that traverses the site. The zoning examiner recommends authorization of the zoning subject to certain conditions. Is the applicant or representative of the applicant?
Honorable Mayor and Council, my name is Bruce Call. I'm representing the owners of Villas de las Toronjas apartments.
We've been having some problems with the mic, so if
I'll
you can
try to
speak
get-
really loud.
Is this any better? I'm close. I can be. Okay. Thank you. With respect to this project, we have had the required public hearings and we've met with the local people. There have been some concerns that were voiced and we have responded to those concerns. Just earlier this evening, we heard a young lady, Amy, who mentioned she was concerned about the parking conditions. I think there was a little bit of misinformation there on her part. We did identify that the parking for the project would be held on site, but we also indicated that some of the construction work and construction, which is temporary, would not always be on site. And so I think there was a little misunderstanding there. We have, you've all seen the packet. What I think is most valuable about this is not only do we fit in with the Tucson plan for this area, but also this is a case which responds to some of the voices that we've already heard this evening, namely providing additional housing. And this is a case where it's an infill And so it's an infill in an existing area. And so we actually reduce the regular traffic onto Natachi, which is there to the west. And we funnel the traffic in through an existing entrance to the existing complex. And so generally speaking, this is going to have a somewhat positive impact, although small, because there wasn't a lot of traffic that our property was generating over there. Additionally, the parcels that we acquired from the city have enabled us to take out of use some of the hardscaping that was there in those abandoned alley area that enables us then, as we build this project, we'll be able to comply with all the criteria that the city has with respect to parking, with respect to zoning, with respect to the hydrology and the other questions that you've often heard somewhat this evening. So in general, we feel like this is a great project for the area. What we're doing is in line with the city plan, and we respectfully request your consideration and approval.
Sir, are you agreeable to the proposed requirements?
I am somewhat familiar with the proposed requirements.
It says the development conditions.
Yes.
Okay. What is the council's pleasure on this item? Councilmember Cunningham.
Yes, Your Honor, this is the old, so I grew up in the neighborhood. And I live in El Gecko. So I'm in this area quite a bit. This is across from what used to be known as Casa Loma, where we used to sneak into the rec room when I was a kid. And it's adjacent to the church, to Christ Presbyterian. Half of this parcel is already zoned R3. So for them to be able to meet the drainage and the parking pieces, we'd take the abandoned parcels and the R1 and activate those parcels. The other piece is that it's technically in a drainage zone, not like a full floodplain, but it's in a drainage piece. And from what I understand, they're augmenting the drainage piece with this project. So I was inclined to vote for it. We had a couple of neighbors come in the last week. I know someone came in this morning too. So I'm more than happy to have my team meet with them and make sure that the applicant is within the conditions, but the apartment complex is already across the street, and really this just continues of it. It doesn't it abuts only, I think, one or two residences. Most of it abuts the church, and it should offer. The one thing about Natachi in this specific area is it's the only way in and out. There's no other ingress egress. So there's a bit, I can totally understand the traffic concerns, but counterintuitive to some of the discussions, I thought the same thing, that it would boggle it up a little bit, but where they're going to park, they're not coming west into the neighborhood. There'll be less cars coming in west to the neighborhood, or that's how I understand it. So I was inclined to vote, I'm inclined that we pass and adopt,
To approve the request
pass
for
and
authorization to rezone.
rezoning. I'm looking for the number, sorry.
Yeah, no, there's no number. it's just,
12156.
It's actually an authorization to
Oh.
rezone as recommended by the zoning examiner.
I move we pass adopt the recommendation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 12.
City of Tucson's General Plan, Plan Tucson 2025, referring Plan Tucson to the city's qualified electors for ratification, calling a special election for November 4th, 2025.
City Manager's communication number 111 dated April 22nd is received into and made part of the record. Does staff have a presentation to make at this time?
Mayor, no presentation, but just wanted to make two comments before you take the item up. One is, while tonight is not a public hearing for this item, I just wanted to remind council that a public hearing was held in front of the Planning Commission where it was unanimously advanced to your attention. And there will be a future public hearing on the general plan in the near future.
And I understand that there's still opportunity to have input on the general plan as we move forward. I know that I've received several requests to make sure that, we have these things on the general plan, including codifying the CLS that we talked about earlier. So when is the deadline to have the language ready for the ballot?
Honorable Mayor, members of council, we are tentatively planning a public hearing on May 20th, 2025 with the mayor and council. So that public hearing will be an opportunity for members of the community to speak and share comments and feedback on Plan Tucson. We're actually just making some updates to the plan right now before it comes to mayor and council. We're making some revisions based on the feedback from Planning Commission, based on the testimony that they received from the public. If you have specific feedback in the meantime, please feel free to forward that to staff. We can provide that email address to all of your offices, and we'd be happy to take any public comments you're receiving.
And just want to make sure and very clear that it is not lack of community engagement and input that we have in front of us today. We've spent more than 3 years really going out into the community and getting thorough input from our residents. So I really commend you for all the work that you all have done. Any other comments on this item? All right, hearing none. Ms. Clerk, you are requested to read ordinance 12156 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 12156 relating to elections pursuant to ARS 9-461.06M and Chapter 4, Section 120, Chapter 16, Section 6, and Chapter 20, Section 2 of the Tucson Charter, calling a special election to be held on November 4th, 2025, for the purpose of submitting to the qualified electors of the city of Tucson, Arizona, as a referred measure, a question regarding the ratification or rejection of the city of Tucson's general plan for land use within the city, known as the City of Tucson's General Plan, Plan Tucson 2025. Once that general plan is approved and adopted by the mayor and council through future separation action and declaring an emergency.
What is the council's pleasure?
Mayor, I move to pass and adopt ordinance 12156.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we do have to go to roll call.
Mrs. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. Zulik, Vice Mayor Santa Cruz,
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham,
Aye.
Mr. Dahl,
Aye.
Mayor Romero.
Aye. Ordinance 12156 passes by a vote of 6-0. Item 13.
Calling a special election November 4th, 2025 for a possible voter consideration of a franchise agreement with Tucson Electric Power, TEP.
City Manager Communication number 120 dated April 22nd is received into and made part of the record. Ms. Clerk, you are requested to read ordinance 12159 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 12159 relating to finance and elections pursuant to Chapter 4, Section 120, Chapter 16, Section 6, Chapter 20, Section 2, and Chapter 26, Section 1 of the Tucson Charter, and Sections 12-13 and 12-14 of the Tucson Code, calling a special election to be held in the city of Tucson, Arizona on November 4th, 2025, for the purpose of submitting to the city's qualified electors a ballot measure for approval or rejection of a franchise agreement with Tucson Electric Power, TEP, and declaring an emergency.
What is the council's pleasure?
Madam Mayor, I move we pass and adopt ordinance number 12159.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Councilmember Ulick?
Yeah, Mr. Attorney, could you just clarify again that this is a placeholder?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, Councilmember Ulick. That's exactly right. This action is being taken to ensure compliance with statutory requirement of calling an election at least 6 months in advance if it's a non-candidate election. And in fact, the ordinance itself specifically notes that the terms of a proposed franchise agreement have not yet been met or finalized, and that the mayor and council have not made the statutory findings that are required to actually put the franchise on the ballot yet. So this is a placeholder, and it keeps it open as an option.
Thank you for that clarification. Councilmember Cunningham?
We absolutely should, it should always go to the voters. It's okay to put it on the ballot. Just because you put it on the ballot doesn't mean you support it.
Well, and there's opportunity to engage the community. So, any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, let's go to roll call.
Mr. Dahl?
Aye.
Mrs. Lee?
Aye.
Mixulic? Vice Mayor Santa Cruz?
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham?
Aye.
Mayor Romero?
Aye. Ordinance 12159 passes by a vote of 6-0. Item 14?
City Magistrate, reappointment of Judge Wendy Millian for City Magistrate and fixing compensation.
City Manager's Communication Number 115, dated April 22nd. It is received into and made part of the record. Ms. Clerk, you are requested to read ordinance 12157 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 12157 relating to city magistrates, reappointing Wendy Millian to another 4-year term as city magistrate of the city of Tucson, fixing compensation and declaring an emergency.
What is the council's pleasure?
Your Honor, I always like to do the judges. Both my grandma, my aunt, and my mom served on the bench, so it's always a pleasure to get to do this. Congratulations, Judge Millian. I move that we pass and adopt ordinance 12157.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, let's go to roll call.
Mr. Cunningham?
Aye.
Mrs. Lee?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Santa Cruz?
Aye.
Mr. Dahl?
Aye.
Mixulic? Mayor Romero?
Aye. Ordinance 12157 passes by a vote of 6-0. Congratulations, Judge Millian. Thank you so much for wanting to continue to be a city magistrate with the city of Tucson, and thank you for everything that you've done for us. All righty, item 15.
City Administration approving the appointment of Sharon McDonough as the Fire Chief of the City of Tucson.
City Manager's Communication Number 119, dated April 22nd, is received into and made part of the record. Ms. Clerk, you are requested to read ordinance 12158 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 12158 relating to the Tucson Fire Department, approving the appointment of Sharon McDonough as Fire Chief of the City of Tucson, approving employment agreement and declaring an emergency.
So first and most importantly, so sorry for making you wait 5 hours. And oh my God, I'm so happy that your team is still here to witness this historic really event of possibly appointing the first woman fire chief in the history of the city of Tucson. Thank you for your commitment to the city of Tucson, to public safety, and to the residents of our beautiful city. You are innovative. You are really an incredible asset to have, Sharon. I really appreciate you and what you have been able to do, both in the fire department and at public safety communications. You're a rock star. Now you know how I feel. So with that, what is the council's pleasure on this item?
Madam Mayor, I move to pass and adopt ordinance number 12158.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Councilman Lee?
Well, you pretty much said it, Mayor, but, I've had the chance to watch Sharon in action when she came into, well, we all have, to Como, but Sharon, everybody knows that you truly care about the people that you lead. And I think that is so important. And when I found out that Sharon was considered, I said, all these wonderful things about your leadership style and what the department needs right now. And oh, by the way, she happens to be a woman. Like, this is historic, but she is the right leader for what the fire department needs right now because of who you are. So I really appreciate that about you. I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that you're willing to step up and do this job. So we're just very fortunate to have you. So thank you, Sharon.
Any others?
I always chime in here, but Look, I'm just gonna go with, you already know what I think, so it's all good.
I just want to say, finish his sentence. I want to finish his sentence and say, you are a proven leader. And you have proven to us time and time again that you find a department and make it better. So with that, there's a motion and a second, and we do need to go to roll call.
Mr. Dahl,
Congratulations, aye.
Mrs. Lee,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Santa Cruz,
Congratulations, Chief. Aye.
Mr. Cunningham,
Congratulations, Chief. Aye.
Ms. Mixulick, Mayor Romero.
Aye. Ordinance 12158 passes by a vote of 6-0. Congratulations, Chief. Thank you.
All right.
If I may take a quick moment, I'll try, I'll be very brief. I know it's been a long day for everybody. Madam Mayor, council members, Mr. City Manager, and my assistant city managers, thank you for your faith in me, for your support of me, and my opportunity to lead such an amazing department as Tucson Fire. My heart is there. These are my people. And while I had such a wonderful time leading my group at the Public Safety Communications Department, I know I leave them in very good hands with Director Mike Garcia. Over the past 3 weeks, I've had an opportunity to get reacquainted with the troops and kind of hear what's going on today and what the issues are, some of the things that are working well, some of the things that will need our attention. TFD is the standing army that takes good care of our community every day. We lead with integrity, courage, compassion, and excellence, and we work hard to serve our community in a meaningful way. We're the standing army 24/7, along with our partners in TPD and Public Safety Communications. Our people are exposed to tragedy and trauma day in and day out. It takes a mental toll on them, a physical toll on them, and that's kind of on top of all the other things that we all have going on in our lives every day, like pay and inflation and political uncertainty. One of my big things has always been, and I appreciate that many of you have mentioned it, that when we take good care of our people, they take good care of our community and our business. That will be my intention. This is my leadership team back here, and leadership from the union, and together with your support, we'll take good care of the department so they can take good care of our city. Thank you for your faith in me, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Congratulations. And with that happy story, we go on to item 16.
Adjournment.
Council will stand adjourned. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be on Tuesday, May 6th, 2025, on or after 5:30 p.m. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening and a happy rest of your week.